again, buy the honey that is most economical. You don't have to buy the name brands. You don't have to buy anything special or expensive. You just need honey. So there's one. And it sticks. So you need to scrape it out. And here's two. Again, try to be as accurate as possible with your measurements because I think it does make a difference to the nutritional value of the recipe when you're feeding it to your dogs. So you do want to try to be as accurate as possible and spread, you know, you want to make sure that everything is blended properly so that it's even throughout, especially if you're feeding more than one dog. You don't want one dog getting a big hunk of beef and one dog getting none. So you do want to mix it around quite well. So that's mixed my honey. I've got my carrots, my cod liver oil, the honey, the safflower oil, the salmon oil, or icosahderm in this case, my spinach. I'm just going to take all of this out of the food processor and put it in my big bowl. And again, I'm pretty particular about making sure that everything gets out. This has all the oils in it and everything that are quite important to the, again, to the nutritional value of the recipe. So I make sure that I scrape everything out. I just use a simple spatula. Make sure that I get everything out and into the big bowl. Then what I will do, because it's just as easy to do it this way since I've got the food processor out anyway, I'll just take my eggs and chop them up in the food processor. Oops. I just pulse them a couple of times. Much faster and easier, and I already have the food processor out, so it's just as easy to chop them up in here. Again, this will all go in, and I'm going to mix it all up really well. And it sounds like my dogs know what's going on in here. Okay. So I also need my applesauce. And I need 244 grams or 1 cup. So in this case, I'm going to use a cup measurement, and I'm just going to measure out 2 cups of applesauce because it asks for 1. So here's 1 cup. And there's 2 cups of applesauce. Okay, I'll take that out. Now at this point, I'm just mixing it, going to mix it around really, really well. And then I'm going to just pulse the beef that I have cooked. I'm just going to pulse it very quickly in the food processor because what I find is when it cooks, you tend to get some really big chunks of beef and some, you know, and some of it's smaller, and you do want to be able to blend it properly. So I'm going to measure out my beef again. 404 grams. Again, I go by the weight measurement. It's 404 grams is what I need. I'm doubling it, so that's 808 grams is what I need. So just to be sure, and what I do with the rest of the beef, I'll either make something else out of it. I could possibly save it for another recipe for the dogs, or it becomes training treats because one of my dogs is quite young and we do a lot of training. So it often becomes training treats as well. But mostly I usually make something else with the rest. Oftentimes I can pretty much, I've gotten to the point where I can pretty much gauge how much I need, and I'm cooking close to the right amount. So this is going to be probably exactly. And this is, let's get the rest at the bottom here. And this is exactly what I need. So again, I'm just going to very quickly just take some of the meat. I only do this just to break it up, and it's because I've already got the food processor out. I may as well use the food processor. It's much easier on me and faster. So we'll just put in a bit at a time so that it gets done properly. And that's, again, only just to break up the big chunks. In with everything else. Do that one more time, just to do the other half of the beef. So as you can see, you know, a big part of the recipe is the meat. And so it's important that you not substitute. I think all of these recipes are made with the amount of Hilary's blend that you put in is based on what's in the recipe. So it's important not to substitute and to source out your lower cost meats. Okay, that's that. So as you can see, that's a lot of meat. We want to make sure we get it all. So then I'll go ahead and mix this up. And then the last thing I do is put in the tomato sauce that has the Hilary's blend mixed into it. And again, you know, everybody will find their own way to do this that works for them. I just find if I have everything else mixed in, then all I have to do is make sure that the tomato sauce, or in this case it's tomato sauce, with the Hilary's blend is properly mixed in and thoroughly mixed in. So again, you don't want one part of the recipe to have big hunks of tomato sauce with Hilary's blend in it and some other part of it not. So I find it's quite important to make sure that you mix everything. At this stage, I could probably just put this in a casserole dish, push some mashed potatoes on it, and put it in the oven, and that would be my dinner, but it's not. It's for the dogs. So it looks like a big meatloaf. So then what I do with the Hilary's blend, get this out of the way, I just take my tomato sauce and I put it into a bowl. Again, this is how I do it, but I'm sure everybody would figure out their own way. I've found this works quite well, though. So I just take the tomato sauce, I put it in a bowl, and in this case, it's 2 scoops. So I'm going to put 4 scoops of Hilary's blend in. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then what I do is I just take a whisk, get rid of this. I just take the whisk. Don't want to lose any of the Hilary's blend on there. And I just whisk it around carefully because sometimes it'll fly out. It's like putting flour into a mixer. So once it's all sort of mixed in, then I give it a good mix. It generally doesn't have any lumps or anything in it. It's quite fine. It's quite a fine powder. So I just make sure it's all properly mixed into the tomato sauce. And then I just pour it over all my ingredients. Make sure I get it all because, again, I don't want to change the balance of the meal. So I use a spatula and make sure that I get all of it out that I can. And then I mix. And then at this stage, it's important that you mix it all quite carefully and thoroughly so that Hilary's blend and the tomato sauce gets sort of is spread evenly throughout the recipe. I think that's pretty good, but I just make sure I turn it all over from the bottom. And that's it.